Is anyone out there? I could use someone to talk to. It's been a rough few weeks. I mean, I guess you know. But even now, I sit here and I just think, can I trust anyone? I have been given crap after crap after crap load, and nothing to show for any of the work I have done. I get attacked, given a concussion, robbed, and now, I just wish I had someone to trust. It scares me, and it makes me so frustrated that there's people out there I can't rely on. I want to be this haven for people, but I don't know if I can open myself up to that. I had a run-in with another one of the violent ones, like Royal Army guy. Except I knew her. Not like I knew her. Not first name basis or anything, but enough to say hi. We went to the same grocery store. She always had her 2 kids with her. Probably like 3 and 7. One of them would usually be on her hip, and the other would drag her around by pulling the front of the cart up and down the aisle, showing the little animal mascots on random foods or toys or some nonsense. She always seemed a bit overwhelmed, but never to that point where she was on the edge of a breakdown, you know? When her 2 kids would whine about something or start wailing in the store. She knew how to speak to them. Reasoning with a child. I know, it sounds unheard of. But the way that she spoke to them, the way she would look them in the eye and talk to them, not as a child, but as another human being, made you feel safe. Not that the world was fixed or anything, but that you could go on a little while longer. Heartwarming. I think that's the best way of putting it. Her words were heartwarming. So she followed me yesterday into the hardware store, shambling behind me. It's not unusual for one of the others to follow you somewhere, you know? Just, hey, something move over there, let's take a look. Usually when that happens, I think nothing of it. Keep a good distance. And I was kind of already on this tear of, I should get some stuff for a farm and cultivate some land. I don't know. Something that could help with the food situation in the long term here. You know, prep for the end of the world kind of thing. Anyways. I grabbed a cart and I started walking up and down aisles. And she shambled down a different one. Something else, obviously, catching her attention. So then I just continued with my day, picking up odds and ends. That shovel thing. Trowel. Trowel? Is that right? I thought about getting something with a motor, but then I realized making noise would draw more attention to myself. And in this day and age, who needs to call more attention to themselves? Besides, I obviously could use a workout. Maybe bulk up a little and protect myself. Just a little bit. If I bulk up, stuff like last time, won't happen again. Anyways, I started getting into those old habits. Walking up and down the aisles. Did you ever do something like that? Just looking at things. Not in any sort of rush, but just imagining getting that one random item. Saying to yourself on that trip, "Oh, maybe this weekend is time for a project. I'll rip up the carpet and we can put down some hardwood floor. Maybe some tile would really liven the place up." Or something like, "I need to replace the washer. Is anything on sale this weekend?" Planning for those moments when you had money and what you would do with it. But in the back of your mind, you knew you never were going to have said money or time. My mother did that a lot, actually. She would buy different paint palettes and carpet samples and talk about tearing up the blue carpet in my childhood bedroom and putting in something tasteful. That was the key. Everything to her had to be tasteful. She never did actually pull up the carpet. I bet you anything, it's probably still blue. I kept walking up and down the aisles, and I turned a corner, looking at different fixtures that no longer had any power, and that were just collecting dust and cobwebs. And there was Grocery Mom, not but a few meters away, locking eyes with me. Her jaw slack, and that black ichor dribbling down her chin and staining her pink top that had Wine Mom on it. And we watched each other in silence, her ragged breathing echoing in the store. And we stared at each other for a very long moment. My mind wandered, as it does, and I leaned into the cart a little, trying to remember our world, what it was, what we would have done just a few weeks prior. And then I thought, what is she thinking about? Was it, where are my kids? Do I recognize you? Why don't you understand me? Why am I alone? And then she snapped. No warning. I didn't move. There was no change. Her head just clicked to one side, and she began wailing, and she charged me. I was so caught off guard that when she slammed into the cart that was dividing us, I was knocked down. I tumbled, and I landed back on a toilet display. I recognized the sound of the porcelain breaking and cracking under my instant weight. She pushed the cart over and crawled over it like some creature out of a film. And then when she hit the ground, she bolted towards me, wailing all the while. I could see her dry hands reaching for me. And I held her back, hand on one chest, hand on a wrist. And I remember seeing those thick strands of black ichor coming from her mouth, slowly dropping towards me. I rocked back and forth, shifting my weight, trying to just shake her off of me. And then finally, with my foot, I pushed her back, and I grabbed the first thing that I could. It was the lid of the toilet tank. She didn't take more than a second to get up and start clawing at me again, howling and wailing, and I swung that lid up and as hard as I could, and I felt the weight shift from being heavy in my hands to it having its own momentum. And then it made contact. It slammed into her jaw. Her small jaw. I could feel the porcelain break in my grip, but I heard bone cracking. It cracked so loudly under the swing, and then we were showered in a billion pieces of porcelain. And before either of us could react, something changed in me. Something that I still right now can't really describe. In an instant, my body moved without any command. I felt every muscle surge with adrenaline and push past all of my fears and all of my reservations. She staggered on her feet, gaining her balance, and I dropped my shoulder into her stomach, wrapping my arms around her. And I screamed so loud, I thought my throat was going to tear its way out. And I pushed her back, while her wrinkled, dry hands with these long, fragile, broken nails tried to claw herself from me. But I kept pushing back until we both slammed into the aisle wall. The whole thing rattled, and I heard things fall and hit the ground. And the only thing I could focus on was the screaming. And I wasn't sure if it was from me anymore or from her. And I glanced up and I saw her jaw was broken, hanging loosely as if the skin was the only thing to keep it in place. It didn't stop her from trying to wail and hiss at me. So I shifted my weight and I lifted her off of her feet and I threw her onto the cement over my back. Like I had practiced this move dozens, hundreds of times. I couldn't tell you how I knew to do that. It just felt so natural. And I turned and I pressed my foot onto her chest to keep her from getting up. Her jaw flapping around as she persisted in trying to bite me. And I reached out and I grabbed a large crowbar. And it was heavy. Heavier than anything in the world at that moment. Then I swung the crowbar down on her. Over and over and over again. Like I was hammering a stake into the ground. My hands and arms stinging from the impact of the metal bar hitting the cold concrete. And that's when I came to. I recognized what was happening. I just couldn't stop myself. But as I looked around, out of breath, and covered in my own spit from yelling, I saw what I had done. I was surrounded in a pool of black and red paste. Once where her head was now broken and fractured cement with the corpse between my feet. And I could not look away. My brain was running faster than light, processing everything I had just done. But I couldn't do anything but focus on her. She had children. She was a mother who cared for people. Someone relied upon her for strength and guidance. A voice that could soothe the world, but for a moment. I tried to walk away. I took 2 steps and I lost all strength. And I fell to my knees and I began to cry. This mother wanted probably just to find her kids. Someone who had a voice, someone with something to say, and I took that from her. I killed her. If there's ever a way to go back, a way to switch back to what we were, a vaccine, a cure, a wave of some stupid cursed magical wand, she can't find her kids because of me. I didn't think. Something I felt so proud of myself for being able to just think about it. I just let my rage take over. I stopped thinking rationally. I stopped thinking about the long term. I just stopped. And as I let go of that control, I just wanted her gone. Someone loved her. Someone knew her life story. Someone wanted to be by her side. And now no one will know what happened to her. Child felt safe by having her presence around. Now that will never happen again because of me. I don't want to be alone anymore. I'm afraid of everything. Maybe I deserve to be alone. I feel. I need help.